All right, Sweet 16. It is here, and the first two rounds are over. One of the greatest weekends in sports, concluding with a bang. And why I think a great way to cap off the weekend is the end of regulation with a controversial call or no call, I should say.
Yeah.
In a week of horrible officiating, concludes with more horrible officiating. So great job by those guys.
Yeah,
Really,
I
really tip
don't
the caps.
I mean, I don't know if that was a foul.
It's a
I
foul.
mean, it if
I don't want them to blow the
my
whistle
thing
late in
is
the game,
it's
but also
it's as much of a flop as it is a foul. That dude flailed.
but I think
And I'm pretty sure that his foot touched half court line before he ever got
they
touched.
missed a backcourt and they missed a foul. But also here's the thing. I think that they would have called that a foul in Arizona 90% of the rest of the game.
So yes. And I guess here's the other thing too. If that was Arizona that was back there and had the ball,
Foul.
it's a foul.
Yeah.
If
And I'm
TCU
glad
does that, it's probably a foul.
I'm glad the Arizona players are able to wave goodbye to the TCU crowd. I mean, you beat them in overtime. They're a 9 seed.
Right?
Yeah, that's come on. Arizona, I know they haven't been there before, but it's also Arizona, and they're the second best team in the country.
And I feel like TCU basically won that game. They just didn't finish that game.
It felt like they were going to lose the game, or it felt like Arizona was going to lose the game.
Yeah,
so
it did.
Didn't happen, though. So first two rounds are over. I think some people will say, well, there wasn't enough upsets, but I think the shock value of some of the upsets is higher than a lot of other years. And obviously the St. Peter's thing is a big deal. But you look at the current Sweet 16 matchups right now, you have Gonzaga and Arkansas, and then Duke and Texas Tech, two very interesting ones. And obviously the chalk region being the West region. In the East, you have North Carolina versus UCLA, St. Peter's versus Purdue, which the line on that's going to be huge, right? Like 12.5 probably. Somewhere around there.
Which is kind of crazy because I know Purdue has their bigs and they can play really well, but they can also play terrible. So
the refs are going to be a big part of that game. I think if they let St. Peter's be physical, St. Peter's can stay in it.
Yeah, if there's any three that St. Peter's could beat, I think it's Purdue. So not that there's any other three in the tournament, right? Oh, Texas Tech, but I'd rather play Purdue than Texas Tech if I'm St. Peter's.
Yeah, and hope you don't let them shoot 40 free throws. So South region, Arizona, Houston, and then Michigan, Villanova, and then the Midwest, Kansas, Providence, and then Miami, Iowa State. So we'll get to those matchups soon. I think there's a few overwhelming themes of the last 4 days. I think one of them is officiating, unfortunately, how many different bad calls we've seen. Just the flow of the game being ruined. I think Purdue, Texas is a great example. I can't believe Purdue fans are going after me as hard as they are in the comment section. It's like, you shot 34 more free throws than the other team, and their only excuse is it Texas fouls more than most teams? Fine. Purdue draws more fouls than most teams? Fine. And Purdue has a overwhelming size advantage underneath, and Purdue passes the ball inside. Also, Williams and Edey shot 16 of the 46 free throws.
Yeah, exactly. So it wasn't the bigs.
It was DJ Carstensen sucking at his job is what it was. Every Purdue game that he's officiated, they shoot
doesn't he?
Unbelievable amount of free throws.
Yeah. And then you look at, the way that Purdue got to play compared to the way Texas got to play. They got to be overly physical. There was a clear charge late in the game against Ivy that went no call that led to a 30. So yeah, I understand that free throws don't have to be, 20-20,
no,
but 46-12 or whatever it was. It's unreal. It's unreal.
And there's another play in the open court where Ivy just pushes off of three guys in a row in the open court, and they don't even blink an eye. And then they call a foul on Texas. So, but Purdue made big shots. Ivy made a couple of huge shots. Which is what players like him are supposed to do. I think
he did.
Mathurin did that as well.
Yep.
So give credit to Purdue for winning the game. I mean, it's not that impressive to me. You beat a team by 10, you shot 34 more free throws than them, and you beat an overseeded, inconsistent, somewhat overrated Texas team. So, and I think Chris Beard got the most out of that team that he could, because that is a roster of transfers. That is a roster with kind of, I don't. It's not like I'm in the room or anything, but I would say more me guys than team guys. I would say Marcus Carr is that.
Yeah.
He's a good player, but that's what he is.
Yeah. I'm glad that Marcus Carr got to go somewhere to make the tournament. I mean,
Yeah, all he did in Minnesota was just be the guy. Like he was never like a part of any winning in Minnesota.
Right.
So I think they might have made it 1 year when he was there. 19, I think they made it. Didn't they lose to Louisville?
Did they?
I think they made it 1 year that he was there.
Maybe they did. You might be right.
Let me check because I know that Pitino was a total failure there. Yeah, they got to the second round in 19. Yeah, they beat Louisville.
Okay.
But Marcus Carr was not there. So there you go.
They were talking about it was
seemed like he would have been there.
First time at the tournament. So
he was I forgot he started at Pitt. He was at Pitt in 18, and then I guess he had to sit out in 19, or he was injured. One of the two. So he's not playing the tournament, but he was probably sitting on the Minnesota bench.
1 year sit out of the transfer portal. That's gone, right? They got rid of that.
I mean, it's got to be right. There's been like a billion players that haven't had to sit, so it kind of seemed dumb to begin with.
Yeah, I agree.
Whatever. Okay, most impressive teams from the first 4 days.
I wrote down 3 teams. I feel like a lot of teams. I mean, they had close matchups, and I felt like these 3 probably had the most impressive games. One team that nobody had any faith in, Providence. The way they've been playing, they beat South Dakota State. It seemed like Providence was just going to blow them out. It got a little closer towards the end. And then, I guess, they get lucky. They play Richmond, who's a 12 seed, who upset Iowa. And they just beat the pants off of them. So my second team is going to be North Carolina. North Carolina, smoked Marquette. Wasn't even close. They were up 25 on Baylor. Some people want to talk about officiating in that game. Brought Baylor back in the game. North Carolina played really well. So they're a scary 8 seed right now. And then my last one's going to be Houston. I know that, they smoked UAB, and then Illinois hung with them for a little bit, but then they just kind of overran them. I think they're going to give Arizona a really good game. Houston is a fun team to watch. They're just really smart. They don't make a lot of mistakes, and they just play hard. So those are my 3 for most impressive so far.
Yeah, I mean, Houston is very much a veteran team, and they play like it.
Yeah.
I mean, Fabian White's a senior. Jamal Shedd's a sophomore, plays like a senior. Tajay Moore's a senior. Kyler Edwards is a senior. Josh Carlson's a senior. And, Kelvin Sampson's did a great job there this year. I would write down I think you have to talk about St. Peter's a little bit. I mean, they beat Kentucky.
Sure.
They beat Murray State. Their defense is super good. Shaheen Holloway's a hell of a coach. Talk about getting the most out of the resources there. It's ridiculous because that's like – I think Jeff Goodman had an article of like ranking the like attractiveness of every job in each conference, and in the Metro Atlantic, St. Peter's was last because they have no budget, like a very low budget for that conference. And he's going to be the next coach of Seton Hall for a reason. So he's legit.
I saw there was a video where like St. Peter's is just a street on a road. It's not even a campus.
It's a very low number of students too.
And he makes what? $250,000 a year, $244 or something like that, which is
he's gonna be making about $2 million here at Seton Hall.
Good for him.
Congrats to him. Yeah, he's a great player there too. All American, McDonald's All American as a player. I know you don't like him. Michigan beating Tennessee. Tennessee came into the tournament as hot as anybody, and they beat the absolute brakes off of Longwood. Yeah, and their guard play, Kennedy Chandler. I know they lost, but Kennedy Chandler is a stud. Like he's tremendous, but Michigan, I mean, it's that's what they do. I mean, they get to the Sweet 16. This is the 5th straight time, I think.
It's unreal.
And this was their down year with a lot of talent.
And I get it. The biggest thing about that is everybody. It's always, why does the Big Ten get 9 teams in? They never produce. They never do anything. Well, if you cut off any team, say you cut off 2 teams, Michigan doesn't get in. Well, I guess they had Rutgers and Indiana above them. So I don't know. They went from nobody thought they should be into Sweet 16. So good
And
for them.
I think they have a legitimate chance with Villanova. I don't think that's a great matchup for Villanova, and the Dickinson
Yeah.
factor
Yeah.
is a big part of it.
And I like Tennessee. I know my brother is very into basketball, and he said that no matter who Tennessee played that second round, they weren't going to win. He didn't have any faith in them. They don't have anything inside that's good by any means. So he didn't care if it was Colorado State or Michigan. He didn't think Tennessee was getting out of the second round. So.
Well, they had a lot of inconsistency, and they really only started to play well after Kentucky absolutely murdered them at Rupp Arena.
Yeah.
And then they started to emerge. But, I mean, Zakai Ziegler next season is going to be one of the best guards in the country, I think. He's undersized, but he's fast. He can shoot. He can defend. So that's a big thing for them moving forward. Miami's another team you got to mention, beat the brakes off of Auburn.
Yeah.
Miami's proof that small ball works in the NCAA tournament. Like, their guards are not big. And they have veteran guards, 30-year-old Charlie Moore, big time. And, I mean, Larinaga's done a great job because he's kind of gotten like Charlie Moore was kind of an out-of-control player. I don't know to the degree of Andre Curbelo, but a very out-of-control player in other places. And he goes to Miami, and he's kind of much more calmed down, makes more smart plays. And Isaiah Wong, Cameron McGusty, that's a very good team. So, I don't know. I mean, Miami's not that surprising that they're there. I never trusted Auburn, but I didn't see a team beating them. Like, I just didn't see the team beating them until Kansas. So,
yeah.
It's the beauty of the tournament, I guess. Then Iowa State's got to be mentioned as well, a team that went 0-18 last year in the Big 12.
With Auburn, did I see Jabari Smith? I got 4 TVs on, so I can't watch every game, intently. But Jabari Smith didn't have a shot for 14 and a half minutes. What's up with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame to see Bruce Pearl go down this early. What a shame.
Because he hasn't made it out of the second round in since he's been at Auburn, right?
Well, they had one huge year.
Okay.
Was it 19? They were Final Four team in 19, I think.
Okay. Well, maybe once he's made it out, but other than that.
Yeah, they I don't know. They were a 5 seed. They beat, I mean, listen to this gauntlet. It's an actual New Mexico State, okay, Kansas, North Carolina, Kentucky.
Wow.
Virginia, they lost by 1 in the final.
Yeah, that's when they just couldn't.
Jared
miss,
Harper,
right?
Bryce Brown. Yeah.
They
were it's pretty much the opposite of this year. That team had good guards who could shoot. This team has erratic guards who are inconsistent shooters. So it's the opposite. But anyway, Iowa State, I mean, if this isn't proof that the transfer portal is big time, I don't know what is, because they bring in Isaiah Brockington from Penn State. They bring in Gabe Kalscheur from Minnesota. This is a team that won 2 games last year and lost 22, 0-18 in the Big 12. They beat Jackson State and Arkansas Pine Bluff last season, 2 teams ranked outside the top 250. This year they had the most quad 1 wins, or they were tied for the most, 5th defensive efficiency on KenPom in the country. And Tyrese Hunter's a stud. And Tyrese Hunter, he's going to be on a list of all-American level point guards next season. Him, RJ Davis, any other, I mean, there's a few other guards that will probably be back that'll be there, but he's a stud. He was big time against LSU. And then their defense is just legit. I think they have a great shot against Miami. Great shot, because their defense is just ridiculous. I mean, them and Rutgers are the 2 teams that have held Iowa in check this season. They gave up 53 points to Iowa and beat them by 20. And they held Keegan Murray to 9 points on 4 of 17 shooting. So TJ Otzelberger has just been unbelievable. So Iowa State, least impressive.
I'm going to go with Kentucky, obviously. Losing to St. Peter's. Yikes.
What a shame.
Sorry, Coach Cal. And my other one's going to be my team. I mean, Illinois. They played bad in the Big Ten tournament against Indiana, and that carried over horrendously for them in this tournament. They were lucky to get by Chattanooga, and they stuck with Houston for about as long as they could until Houston just decided to turn it on, or the ref decided to tee up RJ Melendez for a regular dunk. But their shooters couldn't make anything, and they didn't feed Kofi enough, so they were not good in the tournament. Regardless of getting past Chattanooga, they weren't good.
Yeah, I'll go Kentucky as well. I think that's one of the most popular national champion picks, and pretty much everybody on the team outside of Sheboy failed them in that game. And Kellen Grady disappeared. They didn't get anything really from Toppin or Mintz or Ty or Severe Wheeler or Keon Brooks. I'm assuming Sheboy's back there next year. I think he's a junior this year, so one more year next year. So they'll be great again, obviously, but that's just a bad one.
Yeah.
Kind of reminded me of what people thought would happen with Iona and Alabama last year that didn't happen, which was people thought Iona with Pitino could beat Alabama, but this time a different Metro Atlantic team beating an SEC team in the 215, and it was a surprising one. So I would go also Iowa after winning the Big Ten tournament, just laid an egg.
Something about that, right? I mean, playing
the Princeton offense killed them.
7 games over 10 days. And
yeah, it's true. Yeah. And Richmond methodically slowed the game down, got into their offense, hit big shots. KO or Kyo, or however you pronounce his name, huge plays at the end. Gilliard and Golden as well. Nice to see the Spiders, get a little taste of the tournament. But that's just bad for Iowa and a bad way to go out for Keegan Murray, who had a fantastic season. And a shame for Fran. It's just such a shame.
Yeah, we're so
to see him lose.
Really upset about Brad Davidson too. Shoot.
Dang it. I put Tennessee on here as well because of the hype going into the tournament. And I will take notes, and next year I will not believe in tournament champions as much.
Yeah, you got to step away from them, right?
I mean, John Fanta tweeted about it before the tournament. Don't change your opinion on teams because of the conference tournament.
Yeah.
And we've seen it in major conferences for multiple seasons now.
Right.
So, in hindsight, I should have known Texas was going to beat Virginia Tech, but whatever. I would also put UConn on there. Physical.
True.
Looked good in the Big East tournament.
Yeah, I know you loved them.
I did. I was like, there's no way Dan Hurley's going to let them lose in the first round again. Mm-hmm. And they didn't have a good enough plan. They couldn't stop Teddy Allen. Yeah. And they gave
Eddie buckets.
They gave Eric Musselman a blueprint on how to beat New Mexico State, which is to just stop him and let everybody else beat you.
And New Mexico State still almost came back and won that game.
Yep. So. Arkansas not that great in their first 2 games, but they won both.
Yeah.
And their matchup with Gonzaga is interesting. I think that they'll do kind of what Memphis did, which is hang around.
Yeah. But I don't think Gonzaga's going to run all over them.
I think that I think they could, tick Holmgren and Timmy off a little bit underneath for a little bit.
Yeah.
They can get a little physical with them. And they could actually, unless the refs take over like they did with the Memphis game, they could maybe not control the game by giving DeAndre Williams and Jalen Duren 4 fouls each with 12 minutes left.
Sure.
Maybe not put the 2 best players on the team that's a complete underdog in foul trouble, but whatever. Maybe the players shouldn't foul as much, I guess, would be the argument against that. That was the least impressive, most impressive team. Standout players.
Standout players. You just talked about him. I love him.
Yep.
Drew
Stud
Timme
took over the game in the second half.
Yeah, 32 points against Georgia State, 25 against Memphis, and I think he had 4 in the first half against Memphis, and then he literally could not miss. He also had 14 rebounds in that Memphis game. So very impressed by him and the way he took that game over. My next one's going to be 2 guys, both from the same team, Mathurin and Koloko. Those 2 have been unbelievable. Koloko's dunk at the end of end-ish of overtime, I guess, was pretty impressive. Mathurin, 18 points and 30 points over the 2 games. Koloko, 17 points and 28 points. He was 13 of 14 shooting against TCU, and he had 13 and 12 rebounds, respectively. And then my last one's going to be RJ Davis. Marquette, he had 4 points, so not great, but he had 12 assists. And then against Baylor, he actually absolutely went off, 30 points, 6 assists. So those are my guys that have stood out so far.
I mean, Drew Timme has 57 points in 2 games and has been horrendous at the free throw line, 10 for 21 at the free throw line. but 9 for 15 from 2-point range and 13 for 20 from 2-point range. So
yeah, that's the only thing about Gonzaga. They struggled from the line.
Yep. I mean, against Georgia State, they were 16 for 30 against Georgia State, and then against Memphis, they were 13 for 24. So that's not going to cut it. I wouldn't say all tournament, but let me just give a quick shout out to Doug Eddard from St. Peter's. How about that?
Yeah.
Didn't really score that much all season. Puts up 20 against Kentucky. Also, I think another shout out for Daryl Banks from St. Peter's. Literally had like 8 games this season with double figures and then has 27 against Kentucky.
Yeah.
So, and how about KC and Defo? Good luck to him trying to guard Edie and Williams the next game at 6'7", 195. But he had 17 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, 6 blocks against Murray State.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Well, Texas started a 6'7" center, didn't they?
Yeah,
they
Christian Bishop. But Christian Bishop was, he's a high major player. He played at Creighton last year as well. So, I mean, Trey Mitchell would have been nice to have for Texas in that game, huh?
Yeah.
But he left. So what can you do? I hate to keep going to Michigan with this, but Dickinson has been fantastic. I mean, he's a matchup nightmare for most teams. 26 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists against Tennessee. 21 points, 6 rebounds, 4 blocks against Colorado State. He's pretty much been the go-to guy in his free throw shooting, 13 for 15. So, and 3 for 5 from 3 against Tennessee. Pretty much the key in how much further Michigan can go is definitely Hunter Dickinson. Jaden Ivey, I think, deserves a shout out for the big dagger shots that he made last night. Had 18 points against whatever the team they played was, Texas. 22 against Yale. He's been much more efficient from the field. He was 4 for 7 last night, and then 6 for 13, which isn't great, but not terrible.
I saw Twitter saying he has next generational speed, whatever that means.
I mean, when he does turn it up, you know.
Do you like his new hairstyle?
I could really not. I don't really care. It's all right.
Okay.
I will 100% believe for the rest of time that Mathurin is a better player. So I don't see how anybody thinks otherwise, but whatever. I guess people will not staying up late to watch Mathurin on the West Coast. But he's a stud. He deserves a shout out. 30 points, massive shots. He wasn't very efficient. 3 for 11 from 3, but he hit a huge one.
He hit them when they mattered.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. And then I would also go Kyler Edwards from Houston. Wasn't efficient against Illinois. Didn't matter. His defense was good. He had a couple of big shots that kind of said, okay, this game's over from 3. And then against UAB, he had 25 points. He was 13 for 15. 9 for 15 from the field. So wrong math there. But, and RJ Davis deserves one as well. Caleb Love as well. He was big time against Marquette. And then, of course, the refs were like, oh, we'll foul out a point guard with like 9 minutes left to go.
Yeah, and I guess another one would be Manic, but of course he got the boot against Baylor. So,
he had
what, 32 against Marquette or something like that.
28 against Marquette, 26 against Baylor. Yep, pretty good transfer there, going from Oklahoma to North Carolina. I don't really think there's any. I mean, I guess if you look at a team like UCLA and what they've done, they've kind of done it with Johnny Juzang not being what he was last year.
Yeah. He played much better the second game. That first game, he was off. It was not good.
Tiger Campbell's been the guy, though. Yeah, 16 points in each game.
Except he went on a little 7 or 10-0 run by himself to carry them through that first game.
Yep. And then for Kansas, I mean, I don't really see – Agbaji hasn't been what he was for most of the regular season, only 15 against Creighton, 11 against Texas Southern. Mm-hmm. I think Remy Martin is the key to that team, and he had 20 against Creighton, so he's been big time for them. And if he's playing that well, I don't see how they don't get to the Final Four at a minimum. So, and then obviously Colin Gillespie, best point guard in America, not even close. So there you go with that. Let's see. Let's talk about the Sweet 16 in the West region. First matchup to talk about is Gonzaga versus Arkansas. What do you think happens?
I think Gonzaga is going to just own them. Gonzaga, they played a close game against Memphis. Memphis probably played one of the better games of their season. They just didn't have enough. Too many mistakes down the stretch. I just think that Gonzaga is going to start kicking in another gear. They've been my team since we started this, and I don't think the Must Bus has enough.
I hate to go against the Must Bus as well. I think they'll hang around. I think this will be like a 2-point game at the half, and then I think Gonzaga is just going to take it to the other gear, which is what they've done in both of their games. They were not great in either first half, and they just turned it up in the second half. So if they can keep doing that, they're kind of unbeatable. But, I expect 83-70 would be the range that I would go. Gonzaga wins it. I think the guards are very key in this game because what can Andrew Nimhard and Rasir Bolton do against Devontae Davis and J.D. Note? I mean, they can guard them, and you're going to be 6'6", 6'10", 6'6" at the 3, 4, and the 5 for Arkansas. It's not ideal against Timmy and Holmgren, but they can pull those guys out a little bit more, which I think Jalen Williams can do. I think that'll help them a little bit, but don't think the Must Bus has enough. Probably the most fascinating game, Texas Tech Duke.
Yeah, I think that Coach K, as sad as it might be, as many tears that might be shed, this might be his last game.
A shame.
Texas Tech's defense is it's too stout. I think that I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be a close game. I'll say Texas Tech wins by 3 or 4. So give me full breakdown because that's what you're good at.
I worry about Texas Tech scoring. I do. They weren't very good against Notre Dame in the scoring department. I also don't think Duke is that good. I just don't see that. Like, they have a lot of issues. I think they're playing a lot more loose than they were previously. I think a lot of that is what happened to them with North Carolina at the end of the season, regular season. But I do think Texas Tech gets the job done. I think 62-60 would be my score prediction. You got the best defensive team in the country. They give up 53 points against Notre Dame, who from the offensive end was lighting it up against Alabama and Rutgers. I think it doesn't matter in the talent advantage. I don't care. I think the Texas Tech is just so, like, they're consistently big at every position on the floor, and except for the 5, which doesn't matter with the way that they play. I think that they're going to, junkyard dog 62-60. They're going to hold them in check. And Mark Adams and his toupee are going to send Coach K and his dyed hair home.
Yeah.
So it would be something that America's rooting for, I have to say. South region, Arizona, Houston.
I think this is going to be the best game, personally. I think Arizona's offense matched up against Houston's defense. Houston, how do you say his name? Tajay. The way he played against Illinois, he seemed like he wanted the ball more. He demanded the ball more. He took it at DeMonte Williams, who's supposed to be the best defender, one of the best defenders on Illinois' team. I'm going to have Houston winning this game. I think it's going to be a buzzer beater. We haven't had a buzzer beater yet. I think it's going to be a buzzer beater. Houston wins by 1.
I mean, it's like we're the same person. I just wrote down Houston 68, Arizona 67. I think if Houston can control the pace of this game and defend the way that they did against Illinois, they have the length, they have the toughness, they have the system in place. If Kirk Reese is not healthy, I just don't. Arizona is just a completely different team. They don't do what they want to when he's not on the floor.
I agree.
And he's not going to be that healthy in this game either. He's going to play. But
he's got it. Like, he looked like he was in pain at the end of that game last night.
Yep.
I assume that, the drugs were wearing off or whatever, but
They need Matherin and Koloko to score 50 plus combined.
I can't imagine what his ankle looks like today.
Yeah,
like it has to look worse than what it had been looking like. So I don't know.
Yeah, I just don't trust them without him. And Villanova, Michigan.
I haven't been on Nova very much. I haven't really liked them, but I can't go with Michigan. I think Nova's going to have a terrible time with Hunter Dickinson, like you said. I don't know what's going on with Devontae Jones. I know that he got hit in the head again, so he was benched half that game. But the freshman that's coming in for him, that dude's good.
Frankie Collins?
Yeah, Frankie Collins. He plays hard. I think it's going to come down to if Houston, can get some shots to drop, things like that. But I'm going to take Villanova's experience. I think it's going to be close. I say Villanova by 4.
So I think outside of the freshmen coming in and being absolute studs all season for Michigan, this has almost been the perfect scenario for them because these freshmen learned, there was adversity this season for them and they weren't as good as they were supposed to be. But now they're getting NCAA tournament experience with Diabate and Collins and Bufkin in Houston. So I think that's great for them. Like I said, I don't love this matchup for Villanova. I've been on them all tournament. I think if you give Jay Wright 4 days to prepare for a team, they're going to be able to do some things that other teams can't do. And if you look at Villanova and you watch them play, and I saw people saying this on Twitter, there is somebody open on every single offensive possession at any point. Like the way they run their offense is so simple. They attack matchups.
Yeah.
And they have the best point guard on planet Earth. Like if Gillespie's making shots, they're not going to lose. So I'm going to take them by 4 as well. I wrote down 68-64. So Villanova takes out another Big Ten team. I'm not going to dismiss Michigan. I think they have a very good chance to win this game. Yeah. If Dickinson plays well, they will probably win. But I just think Villanova, like I said, keyword, tough. They're too tough. I think that they're getting to the Final Four. I really do. And I think that they can get to the national championship. So it's not even really close to Jay Wright's best team. Maybe his 4th or 5th best team that he's had there because they have won 2 titles, obviously. But it's going to be a hell of a game. Probably the 3rd or 4th best game out of all of them, behind Duke, Texas Tech, behind Arizona, Houston. But it's going to be a really good game. East Region, North Carolina, UCLA.
UCLA hasn't. I mean, I know they played well against St. Mary's, but St. Mary's isn't full of athletes, I guess.
Not in the slightest, no.
Yeah. So they didn't play well against Akron, and I just think North Carolina is the hot team right now in the tournament. I'm going to say that they're the hottest team in the tournament. They're playing with a lot of confidence. Again, RJ Davis was amazing against Baylor. Baycott, I think that North Carolina wins this game. I'll say give me 8 points. I'll take North Carolina 8 points.
I'm not as confident as you are in North Carolina, but I do think that they'll win. Like you said, hot team. I think if one of their guards plays well, a.k.a. Caleb Love in the first game, RJ Davis in the second game, Baycott's a big key, rebounding, making plays underneath, not shooting free throws. And then Manic, obviously. So this team's emerging. They're hot. And I think if Jaime Jaquez is not 100% healthy, that's a problem for UCLA. Yeah. I think that's going to be something to monitor for them. Yeah. I believe Mick Cronin said if he can walk, he'll play. So take that for what it means or for what it is, I guess. But, yeah, I think the luck runs out for UCLA. Not really luck, but just the juice. I mean, it's been a weird season for them. They're playing a lot better now, but I don't think that they'll get to the Elite Eight again. Yeah. So, I'll take 74-69 North Carolina. And we don't need to spend too much time on this game, but I think the luck is about to run out on St. Peter's.
Yeah, I agree. Give me Purdue by 18.
I literally wrote down 80-62. What the hell is going on there? I mean, I think Purdue's pretty much going to be able to.
We do too many podcasts together.
Apparently so, because there's no differing opinion yet. But I think Purdue takes care of them. I think they can do whatever they want on the offensive end, despite how hard and how tough St. Peter's has been. it's just a different level. And would it be incredible to see St. Peter's catch Purdue on an off day? That'd be amazing. It's just not going to happen. So, all right, let's go to the Midwest region. We might have a differing one here. Kansas, Providence.
I'm gonna go with Kansas. I think Providence, they've been impressive. I don't think they've had, a whole lot of competition thrown at them so far. South Dakota State was probably a tougher game for them than Richmond. And so I'll go with Kansas, even though I hate Bill Self and I don't know if he can get to an Elite Eight. So, but
this might be the last hoorah for Bill Self, given the whole FBI thing.
Give me Kansas by 3.
I'm going to take Providence by 4. I think this is a great matchup for Providence. I think they can defend. And if Remy Martin doesn't play well, I don't think Kansas wins. I think that Justin Minaya against Ochai Agbaji is a massive matchup. Minaya is a lockdown defender. That's what he does. They got the size. Nate Watson underneath, obviously. Noah Horschler. Ed Cooley's doing a hell of a job. I think this is a year that they're going to get to the Final Four. I really do think that Providence gets there.
Yeah, I do. I just
if
I'm picking with what I think rather than what I want, I'm going Kansas.
I mean, has Kansas really had any competition yet either? I mean, Creighton had no point guard, no center.
I agree. You're not wrong.
So I'm going to take Providence. I think this is the best possible Sweet 16 matchup for Providence. Even though it's the 1 seed, I think they match up well with them size-wise. I think their defense is going to be, next level as it has been. So Iowa State, Miami.
This is an interesting one. I'm impressed by Miami. Their guards, like you said. So I'll take Miami. Iowa State, they beat a LSU team that didn't have a coach. They beat a Wisconsin team that's been a fraud all year. So the ACC apparently is the best conference in America. So give me Miami by 4.
I'm going to take Iowa State by 4, and here's why. Miami typically plays in the 70s and the 80s. Iowa State plays in the 50s and 60s. I will take the defense over the offense here. I think that Tyrese Hunter is going to have a great game against the Miami guards. And I think that they can stretch the floor a little bit. You have the wings on the outside. If Cal Schurer can knock down a few shots, if Brockington can make some plays, I think this is a weird year where Iowa State gets there. I'm going to take the defense over the offense here. That's kind of a trend of what the tournament's kind of been like. And the good thing for Iowa State is Miami doesn't have any overwhelming bigs for Iowa State to worry about. So that's a big factor that they don't have to worry about, an Oscar Tshiebwe or a Kofi Coburn or one of those elite centers in the game. Miami doesn't have one of those, and Iowa State won't have to worry about that. So that means that my Elite Eight is Gonzaga versus Texas Tech, Houston versus Villanova, UNC versus Purdue, and Providence versus Iowa State. So
we're all the same except our Midwest is the complete opposite.
Yep, sounds about right. I mean, if those are the 4 matchups, where would you be leaning for the Final Four as of right now?
Final Four, I'm going to go with Gonzaga, Purdue, Houston. And you want me to take Kansas or Providence? I'll take Kansas.
I would go Gonzaga, North Carolina, Villanova, Providence would be mine. Yeah. So kind of like 2 cakewalk matchups in some way for Gonzaga and Villanova to be playing each other. We'll see, though. We'll see. So in terms of the winners that we have, the final 8, the 8 teams we have to win. So Gonzaga and Texas Tech. For Gonzaga, who do you think the most important player on the floor is outside of Drew Timme? Is it Nembhard? Is it Holmgren? It's got to be one of those guys.
I'm going to say Holmgren. I think Holmgren's hasn't been amazing so far in the tournament. His defense is there just because he's long, but his shooting hasn't been great. So I think Nembhard, you know what you're getting with him. He's going to come out. He's going to play well. So I think it's what Chet can do. So So,
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think Nimhard is definitely in the top 3 or 5 point guards in the country. And I think that's important this time of the year. But I think the Chet's a huge part of what they do. Kind of take some pressure off of Timmy as well. Then on the other side for Texas Tech, I would say the most important player for Texas Tech has to be – I was going to go O'Banner, but I think I'm going to go a different direction. I think I'm going to go with Kevin McCullough. Or no, I'm going to go Terrence Shannon. Okay, I'll go Terrence Shannon because he did not do anything in that game yesterday. He had 3 points in 18 – he only played 18 minutes. They need him for more than 20 minutes. Like he had 20 against Montana State. They need him to do something like that over anything else. And I mean, he's 6'6". Who's he going to guard on Duke? Probably one of their shooters, whether it's Keels, maybe it's Wendell Moore. But he's a very important part of their team. Who's the most important player for Houston in their game?
I mean, I think, like I said earlier, I can't even say his name, Tahaja.
He does the little things, you know?
He's just he doesn't usually – he's not usually a scorer for them. And when he turned into a scorer against Illinois, I felt that's when Houston kind of started going. So I think if he can continue to do that, it's just another step for Houston to be better.
Yeah, I agree. For Villanova, I would say the most important player in that matchup, that specific matchup, is probably Eric Dixon, who's going to be up against Hunter Dickinson. So he's only 6'8", 255 though, big body, has been very good for them in the tournament. 3 for 4 from 3 in 2 games. He had only made, 14 threes all season before this tournament. Or no, he'd only made 13 threes all season before this tournament, and he has 3 in 2 games. So that's a big part of it. He could probably guard Dickinson on the perimeter in some way. But the thing with Villanova is they don't really have any small, like they're 6'3" and above on everybody. And the shortest guy is Gillespie, who's their best player. So, I mean, Justin Moore, 6'4". I love the matchup for Gillespie and Moore against whether it's Jones and Brooks or Collins and Brooks. Great matchup for Nova. And they have a guy that can guard Houston. Jermaine Samuels or Brandon Slater can guard Caleb Houston. They're both 6'7". So I think that defensively, the matchup at the first 4 for Villanova is good, but at the 5 is where you worry a little bit. And then offensively, I think they can get there. So I think Villanova wins, but I wouldn't be that surprised either way. For Purdue in the East region, who's their most important player against St. Peter's?
I think it's going to be Edey. I don't think that he's been great. He seems frustrated. So I think him getting the ball and just turning and shooting. I know he's slow and methodical, but I guess another guy would be Stefanovic. Him shooting, if his shots are falling, how he's defended. But I'd say Edey overall.
So, in terms of North Carolina, I think their most important player is one of the 2 guards, Caleb Love, RJ Davis. You know what you're going to get from Manick. He's going to have a game. Baycott's going to be important on the glass. Yeah. But if they can have a matchup of RJ Davis against Tiger Campbell on both ends of the floor, it's very important for them. So we'll see what happens there. We don't even need to talk about the Midwest region. I think it's pretty simple. Kansas, it's Remy Martin. If he plays well, they win. Providence, it's probably Nate Watson. If they get anything out of him offensively, they win. Iowa State, it's Tyrese Hunter. How does he play against the other Miami guards? And for Miami, it's probably, I guess, Isaiah Wong. I mean, you can really go with any of the guards, whether it's Charlie Moore or Isaiah Wong or Cameron McGusty. One of those 3 are pretty much the key guys there. Which coach do you trust the most in each region to win their game?
Oh, man.
Hard-hitting question.
Yeah. Like out of the 4 teams?
Just pick one from each region, yeah.
I'm going to go with Mark Few, obviously. Man, the East, I don't know if I trust any of them. I'll go with Shaheem.
All
Even
right.
though I don't think they can win.
I mean, there's one guy in the South you have to take.
Right. Jay Wright.
Maybe the guy who has 2 more titles than the other 3.
Yeah. And then give me Ed Cooley.
All right. Never been there, but we'll go with it. I mean, in the West, I'm going to go with a few as well. In the East, I'd like to go with none of the above, but I'm going to go with the team that I didn't pick to win, which is Mick Cronin, who last year got them to a Final
got
Four.
It. Yeah, you're not wrong.
The South, I mean, it's Jay Wright. It's not even close.
Yeah.
I mean, the second would probably be Kelvin Sampson. And then I would probably trust Jawan more than Tommy Lloyd just because Jawan's been there at least as a head coach. Midwest, I'm gonna go with Bill Self, even though I didn't pick him to win, because this is his last ride. I hope he enjoys it because he's gonna get fired. All right. I mean, the FBI stuff is bad. He should be done.
Is it?
Will Wade got fired for it, and they're just waiting to do something with Bill Self. I guarantee you. And I don't know anything about it for the most part. I guarantee you the Bill Self stuff is worse than Will Wade.
Yeah.
Guarantee it.
Yeah.
He pretty much got Adidas to hide money for him in some ways. So it's not good. It's illegal is what it is. Yeah, so we talked about that last offseason, how Bill Self not being suspended is an absolute joke.
Right.
But anyway, he's in Sweet 16. Nobody cares about it, but whatever. Notable coaching changes around the country. In the SEC, Dennis Gates goes from Cleveland State to Missouri just to continue to lose to Illinois from every year on out. Nothing on this hire for me. Todd Golden, San Francisco to Florida, great hire there, I think. Did a great job at San Francisco getting them to their first tournament since '98. Archie Miller, Sean Miller back in business. Archie Miller to Rhode Island. Sean Miller
Archie
back to Xavier.
Hired.
Yeah, Rhode Island.
Good for him.
So they're back in business.
Sean Miller going to go corrupt another program, or
it looks that way, I guess. Huh? Shouldn't need to though. The Big East kind of outside of like UConn and Villanova, it's not too big of a threat moving forward. I mean, Providence is always going to have some sort of competitiveness. Kenny Payne, Nick's assistant, becoming the Louisville head coach. We'll see how that goes. Was an assistant at Kentucky as well. Pat Chambers back in business, Florida Gulf Coast.
Wow.
Atlantic
I didn't see that
Sun.
hire.
Yeah, I got all the inside sources.
I guess.
Even though it was on Twitter.
I follow all the people on Twitter.
Jerome Tang, not Brad Underwood, getting the job at Kansas State. I'm stunned.
Amazing. How'd that happen?
Baylor assistant is what he was for a long time. So kind of helped Scott Drew build the program up. So
good for him. If you ask Illinois fans, they want Underwood to go to Kansas State and they want Tang. So
because that makes a lot of sense.
Good job, Illinois fans. Good job.
Hit on another one. Kevin Willard goes to Maryland, where he's going to make almost 2 times the amount that Mark Turgeon was making there.
Unreal.
Willard did a great job at Seton Hall overall, though. I know it didn't end well. I know some of the things he said in the way out were kind of weird, like the Shaheen Holloway quote. Like, why would you mention a coach that's still in the tournament? Not fair.
What happened there?
They just asked him something about the future, and he said, if I'm not here next year and Shaheen Holloway's here, that would be the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. That's literally what he said.
Oh, really?
He sounded like a drunk person. Yeah.
Wow.
Right after their game. So that's not right for St. Peter's, but whatever. Willard was great there, though. 12 years and multiple tournament appearances. And then Shaheen Holloway is going to be the next head coach of Seton Hall. It's like almost a guarantee. I would be absolutely floored if Shaheen Holloway is not hired as the next head guy. Yeah, I mean, I don't see how Shaheen Holloway is not the next guy at Seton Hall. So it's going to happen. And then Matt McMahon goes Murray State to LSU. He chose LSU over South Carolina. So that
Brad
one's
Underwood's
done.
not going anywhere. Is that what we're
Pretty
saying?
much confirmed. Yeah,
Okay.
I would say that's no doubt. I mean, really.
Now, if he can learn how to run an offense,
we will see. We will see. So I'm trying to find. There was a list of finalists that I saw for the South Carolina job. Let's see if I can find it here. Hang on. Lamont Paris, the head coach at Chattanooga. And BJ McKee, who's a former South Carolina player and an assistant for overrated Jerry Stackhouse at wait, no, it's Wake Forest, not Vanderbilt. I don't know why I read Vanderbilt. Wake Forest, so an actual good coach, Steve Forbes. Didn't make the tournament, but I digress. So, yeah, I mean, big coaching changes, big time stuff. But, yeah, I think
Frank Martin's done.
I don't know. He seems like a basketball lifer type, but maybe not.
Right. It'll just be an analysis for, the NCAA tournament where they have nothing but NBA guys on.
Yeah, I think it'd be great for Rex Chapman to not suck on there. He's terrible. He's an absolute atrocious.
I haven't watched. I've probably watched 2 minutes of actual halftime or post game stuff. So,
let's just put it this way:
I don't care. So,
Rex Chapman makes Charles Barkley look like Bill Raftery. So,
yeah. Thanks. By the way, thanks Charles for the kiss of death picking Illinois. Appreciate you.
Yeah, really killed us there. But anyway, that'll do for us. We'll be back probably after the Sweet 16, preview the Elite Eight, discuss the Sweet 16, then obviously the Final Four preview, National Championship preview, all that stuff coming as we get ready to get this tournament going. And then the transfer portal is about to have about 900 names in it again. So
yeah, it's already up to 550. I saw. So
it's gonna double. So have fun with that. We'll be back though later this week. Enjoy the Sweet 16, and we'll talk about how right we were in a few days. Goodbye.